Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Matt. I'm just a dude. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to unbox and put together this Ryobi table saw. Before we take the saw out of the box, I want to tell you a little bit about it. It's Ryobi, model number RTS12. It's a 15 amp saw with a 10-inch blade. It comes with a miter gauge, a push stick, a guard assembly, and a rip fence. Now we got all that information out of the way, let's get the saw out of this box. So we got the saw out of the box. The first thing we have is the instruction manual. It looks like there's parts of this stand and there's some bolts in here. So let me go through the instruction manual real quick and then we'll start putting this thing together. Before we start assembling the saw, I'm going to pull all the pieces out of the styrofoam and then we'll start putting it together. Got a bag of screws. On this side of the saw, we have the push stick. And the fence assembly. Here's the fence. Sorry about that. This is the guard assembly, this is the fence. Here's the 4 legs that go from the stand to the ground. Screwed down to the underside of the table is a miter gauge. Before we flip this saw over, I'm going to put the legs together. So in this bag of bolts, there's 4 of these bolts that have wing nuts on them. And what those do is they hold these legs onto this bottom frame. So we're going to go ahead and assemble that right now. So the carriage bolt head goes from the bottom Then once you get the bolt through, just tighten up the wing nut. Now you don't want to get it so tight you can't move it, because we're going to have to bolt this other set of legs to this one. It's probably going to need to get adjusted. So you slide these legs into this little square gap right here, so these legs rest against this piece of metal. These carriage bolts just go through that little square slot on the bottom of the legs all the way through. And then this wing nut and then you just tighten it up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to line up these legs and put the bolt through this hole all the way through both sides of the legs. Now that we got these legs on the bottom of the frame, we're going to take these bolts, slide it through the leg, and then put it through both sides. Now, these are 13 millimeter. So I might have to go get another wrench. Yep. They're lock nuts too, so you're going to have to get a wrench on both sides. Now I'm just snugging these up so they don't wiggle. I wouldn't tighten these down as tight as I could because not that thick of metal and you'll probably bend it. So now we're going to put the legs on. And they have this little kick on it. So those would be facing outwards. Let's flip it over. They had this piece of styrofoam wedged in there around the inch drop pretty good. Gonna have to take a vacuum it out so it doesn't suck in any of these little ports, any of these little pieces of styrofoam. But here's a cord. On the floor. Go ahead and this warning level off. So it had a warning label across the blade that said never operate the saw from the floor. These are the instructions on how to put on the guard. Here's a guard. It's got these little things on it on one side, and they're pretty pokey. So this is an anti-kickback feature to where, in theory, these will grab the wood before it gets kicked back and hits you. It's got this quick release button here. I'll show you. So what you do is you take this pin and you put it in the far slot on the saw. And then when you get it all the way pushed down, you flick this button and it'll lock the guard into place. There's that. Fence. Run there easy enough. It's got a little ruler here. Let's see how square this is. So I have this combination square sitting against the blade, and it's not against one of the teeth so it would kick it out. It's flat against the blade. And the fence about a 1/16 of an inch off in a foot. So hopefully we can take these screws out and adjust it. So this fence was able to get adjusted a little bit. What I did was I unscrewed these to loosen it up, and I pushed it against the ruler part of this combination square, and it took the gap out. So now it should be square if you cut something with it. Now I'm going to put in the miter gauge. Again, I'm going to take this combination square, I'm going to sit it flat against the blade to where the teeth are on opposite ends of it, so it's flat against the metal of the blade. It's kind of loose in the track, but it's got about a 1/16, 32nd to 1/16 of slop in it. So, but this table saw wasn't very expensive, so sometimes you get what you pay for. So now we got this blade squared up. Let's see how loud it is. It's a little noisy. Also back here there's it looks like a 2-inch adapter for a shop vac to get plugged into it to act as a dust collector. There it is. We unboxed and put together this Ryobi 10-inch table saw. Now it's ready to do some work. If this video helped you out, if you can like and subscribe, that would definitely help out the channel. My name's Matt. I'm just a dude, and if I can't fix it, I'll fix it so no one else can. Thanks for watching.